Welcome back to In Your Neighborhood. I'm your host, Sharla Brown, and on today's show, we've been talking with the Elizabeth Fry Society. And before the break, we were talking all about the different programs that you offer, including when women have served their sentence and now they're leaving. And so whether it's skills or the support, let's talk about kind of what discharge looks like when somebody's leaving the prison system.
So one of the very basic items that we provide, and sometimes it's overlooked or people will say, well, I never thought of that, is what's called a discharge kit. And that contains basic personal hygiene items that each one of us would use on a daily basis. But given the fact that women have been at the correctional center, they obviously do not have the financial means to purchase those basic items that we would take for granted. So very often, donors are, again, volunteers will donate items such as shampoo, personal hygiene items. When we are able to, again, through donations, we include bus tickets because people have to get to and from, appointments, including, important appointments with probation and parole. Clothing, and we work with a number of community agencies because we are supported by the United Way, and we are part of what's called the Quality of Life. One of our Quality of Life partners is Community Clothing Assistance, so they generously provide us with the ability to go and choose the items that a woman would need for her discharge.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's great. And how is Elizabeth Fry, different from different agencies providing programs for men in the criminal justice system?
Well, the very need to have an organization for women is because women's needs are different than men. And historically, prisons were built for men, and the way they're structured, their programs, everything was geared for men. But women's needs are really quite different. And one of the things that is really apparent is women who have children and the need for them to continue to see their children when they're in prison. And when they come out of prison, the need to reconnect with their children. So that's just one example of how women's needs are different, and our agency is sensitized to those needs. We focus around how women are different than men, how their anger issues are sort of sometimes tied in with the violence that they've experienced. So all of our programs have that gender sensitivity, and it's primarily women in our organization helping other women. Also, when they come out, their housing needs may also be specific to having experienced violence or trauma in the past, so they need to have a safe place to live.
So housing is a huge community issue.
Housing is a huge community issue, yes.
Right, which was my next question in terms of what types of challenges do incarcerated women face, and I guess that's probably one of the biggest one is even returning back into regular everyday life afterwards would be a huge challenge for women.
And they often recognize that they need to, for their own personal safety and to reduce the incidence of recidivism, is to avoid returning to certain parts of or certain neighborhoods within the community. So the challenge becomes how and where do you locate the appropriate housing?
Mm-hmm. Right.
The other issue, a lot of women who are incarcerated have mental health issues and issues with addictions. And getting those services and proper treatment is a challenge not only for them, for everyone in our community, but particularly when they come out of prison without any financial resources, without housing. It's really important to keep some kind of connection to some kind of recovery process or
so the therapeutic programs.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and just I guess even connecting with other people. When you're incarcerated, you're surrounded with people, then all of a sudden you're out and you're on your own, right? So I can imagine that would be another...
Yes, and eFry is trying to be that link, right? We're trying to be a link that will help women integrate into the community. They've made some connections with the volunteers. Often those volunteer programs will say, well, when you come out into the community, you can get involved in yoga here, you can get involved in meditation here. So it's an attempt to build friendships, partnerships linking them to community resources that will be safe for them to participate in.
And not only our agency, but other agencies recognize, the need to stay in touch with women once they are released back in the community. So we've just recently partnered with the counseling center to offer a program called Stay on Your Path. And the program is very much run. The agenda, the issues are driven by the women themselves, and the intent is to maintain that that contact and to recognize some of the challenges. So we are working with the correctional center actually to offer the program on alternate weeks at the correctional center, so we make contact with the women before they're out in the community.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, start having those conversations even before.
Exactly.
Makes sense for sure. And are there any other special projects that your organization is involved in?
Well, there's always a list. There's a continuum of issues and programs, but we're very excited about something that we talked about a little earlier in the program, and that is a mural project. So we have a fabulous facilitator, Angela Golat, who is working with us and the women to create murals at the correctional center. So we've just completed a mural in the programming room. Mm-hmm. And again, it's been a process by which the women have led the discussion as to what they would like to see, and we've gone from literally a blank wall to this beautiful, very colorful mural in an area that they spend a lot of time in for other programs.
Right, which changes the whole energy,
It
right?
changes the energy completely.
Yeah.
Another project that we're really excited about is a research project, and we've been working with a Dr. Rebecca Schiff, a professor at Lakehead University. And we're looking at the links between homelessness and criminalization of women. And we have a lot of support in the community for this project, including the Crime Prevention Committee. And our goal is to try to get data and information that will substantiate the need to create housing for women. We know that there are a lot of homeless women in Thunder Bay, that there aren't enough beds for them at the shelter or even at the John Howard Society. And it's our hope that eventually we're going to be able to build some kind of housing program for women when they leave the correctional center, and possibly also to have bail beds for them so that we can avoid them going into prison.
Mm-hmm. Right. So we're getting close to the end. I'd love to wrap up with talking about what the vision for the future is for Elizabeth Fry Society.
Well, our housing project is a really long-term vision, but it is our hope that we're going to be able to provide more housing for women. So that's on our bucket list. The other project that we're working on right now is with New Direction Speaker School, and we're hoping to be able to provide a speaker school program at the Correctional Center next year.
Nice.
So we're very excited about that unfolding.
Wonderful, wonderful.
There's one other thing that we're also
of course. we got a few seconds, you bet.
Well, Mary Kozorys, our staff person, is amazing. We're so lucky. She does so many different things, and not only does she do the volunteer coordination, but she does a lot of the individual advocacy. But we're hoping to have a dedicated court worker. So Mary does go to court, but there's only one Mary, and she can't be in all places at all times. So we're trying to get a particular one person who's going to be that court support for women who are dealing with the court system.
Right, and if there's anybody watching today that would like to get involved or volunteer or, help out, maybe make a donation and support what you do, what's the best way for people to contact you?
The easiest way is to contact the Elizabeth Fry Society. We've brought in our wonderful little poster to share the phone number. ElizabethFryNWO.org or 623-1319. We'll put that up on the screen as well for sure. It's great, and we welcome any and all contact.
Wonderful. Well, I want to thank you, Mary and Mary, for being on the show today, telling us all about Elizabeth Fry Society here in Thunder Bay and all the great work that you do with helping women in our community for sure. And I want to thank everybody for tuning in this week. Be sure to watch next week with more on In Your Neighborhood.